Excited to talk with Amerks head coach Michael Leone. That's coming up as we talk Amerks up 2-0 in the series. Coming up on the Locked On Sabres podcast.
Your Locked On Sabres, your daily podcast on the Buffalo Sabres. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody, and welcome in to this Wednesday edition of the Locked On Sabres podcast, and thanks for making us your first listen every day, free and available, of course, wherever you get your podcasts. That is Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the Odyssey app, anywhere you look that you might normally listen. You could watch the show on our YouTube channel as well. Be sure to like and subscribe us there. And if you would like to become a member of our Locked On Sabres text club, conversations, alerts, if we ever get anything news breaking about the Sabres, as we still wait on the Kevin Adams stuff, if there is going to be any stuff, you can sign up. Join subtext.com/Locked On Sabres. Today's episode of Locked On Sabres is presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Sneaky Joe DiBiase here. The Rochester Americans will be the subject of today's show, and I'm very excited to talk with Amerks head coach Mike Leone, which we'll get to in just a moment here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. They lead 2-0 in the series. 2-0. YouTube watchers would have just seen me do this backwards. 2-0 in the series over Syracuse, who has been a good team all year long, kind of a more of a veteran team than Rochester is. And we got into a lot of that sort of stuff with head coach Michael Leone. In terms of Sabre news and the lot, as I just mentioned, we're waiting on Kevin Adams news, and we still have nothing yet. So promise you haven't missed anything. And I've been listening and, waiting for somebody to tell me, whisper something. Hey, this could be coming, or this has been talked about. I haven't heard a peep. I'm not Mr. Insider, so, maybe others have, but I haven't heard a peep about what's going on with the Sabres general manager and that current situation. So let's get right to it. Pleased to be joined here on the Locked On Sabres podcast here on this beautiful Wednesday by head coach of the Rochester Americans, Michael Leone. Leo, thanks for taking some time out today on it's an off day game-wise. I know you probably had practice this morning.
Yeah, practice this morning at 11 and just preparing for tomorrow night's game.
Yeah. How do you like these series where the games are so spread out? I don't know if you're used to that from, when you were in Green Bay or whatnot. It's very different, obviously, from, NHL playoff hockey.
Yeah, like I don't know, like it's just different for me for sure. I think I would like personally, I think if they were like bunched up together because momentum can carry over how your team's playing.
Sure.
This is a little different, just like I haven't been like a part of these. Like USHL is more kind of like the NHL, like it's really quick, like day off play. Even some back-to-backs, but it's the schedule we're given, so we'll just be ready to go tomorrow night.
Sure. Tomorrow night, game 3, the Amerks looking for the sweep. And especially to the point you're talking about momentum, I mean, kind of how the first 2 games have gone. You get down 2-0 in game 1, and it's been 7 unanswered goals. So I feel like that kind of goes along with your point. How do you feel like the team has played overall, though, in these 2 wins? And again, scoring a bunch of goals in a row here on Syracuse.
You know what? I think it was not concerned, but I think it, everybody saw the players that came down and you automatically assume, okay, the team's going to be great. But there's also a lot that goes into it. Jiri hasn't played here pretty much since the start of the season. Kozak's been up for a good amount of time. Obviously, Oz and Rosie were here, but there's guys haven't played together in a really long time. We have our one, if you want to call them our fourth line, is kind of was stuck together, but all the other lines have never, played together for a while. I really like. I still think we haven't played at our best, but the one thing I will say is, our defending has been excellent. It's been excellent all year. Our ability to just defend and check, and I think sometimes it goes unnoticed with the team that we have and the skill that we have, but the guys have really bought in to play away from the puck, and when you have to defend and you really got to grind out shifts, and I thought the guys did a really good job of that, and obviously our special teams has been really important. I think we've killed off all the penalties. I think we're close to 30% on the power play.
Mhm.
But I like our team game. It's a really tight checking series. Syracuse is much like you would see of the Tampa Bay Lightning. They're a really good checking team. They give up the least amount of goals in their league. They're big, heavy. So we knew it was going to be a big test for our group. But I like the way we responded, and it's a mature group, and we've had leads going into third periods a lot this year, and guys have locked it down. And to come back from 2-0, especially a team that doesn't give up much, we responded really well and found a way to win those two games.
Yeah, on that, I mean, some of the names on Syracuse, Connor Sherry, you mentioned Tampa. He was on Tampa, and we know him obviously from here in Buffalo.
Yeah.
One of their best players, and your team kind of matching up with that. You've got veterans that certainly play that style. Do you feel like that's kind of rubbed off on the young guys a little bit? I know it's not within the game, but it was one of the first thoughts I had about. There's been a question here in Buffalo all year about responding and physicality. And there's the kid, Konsta Helenius, just going at it with two guys in the corner. I know it's a scrum, but it's kind of what you're talking about.
No, yeah, for sure. Like, I think our veteran guys, the Dunner, the Murrays, Yabo, have done a great job with our younger players to understand what winning hockey looks like in a certain way that you have to play. And I think it's been built in throughout the course of the year. I don't think it happens overnight, but I know Syracuse get a lot of questions asked about being big, physical, but I feel like we're in a different way, but our guys have always responded and stuck up for each other. I think there's a togetherness with the group. I think they really care about each other. It's a really selfless team. So even a guy like Konsta, he's a 19-year-old kid, and I think when he plays with that edge and he's fearless, almost like a kind of like a Brad Marchand type of, like, when he gets engaged in the hockey game, he usually has a really good game, and he scored a huge goal for us. But it's a really selfless group that cares about each other a lot. And if there's one guy in there, one guy, one goes, we all go, and that's kind of our mentality. And the guys have done a great job with it all year.
Let's talk with Sabres head coach, Rochester Americans head coach, Michael Leone, ahead of Game 3 in Syracuse. Be right back with Amerks head coach Mike Leone. We want to remind you, though, that today's episode is presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. All the playoff action is here. The NHL playoffs, the NBA playoffs. What a crazy night last night in both leagues, especially in basketball. Fights on the court at the end, buzzer beaters, comebacks. FanDuel is giving new customers right now an incredible way to get in on all that action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. You could, whether that is, in the NBA, some 3-point prop bets, steals, assists. You want to bet on Jokic to have a triple-double. That's something I'm always looking at. He just nearly got there last night, but he did. Why he averaged it for the entire season. Even when it's an off night, he still gets there. Hockey, of course. Maybe you were thinking Carolina money line when they were down 3-0 because they were a better team than the Devils. And sure enough, they come back and win in double overtime. All that over at FanDuel if you want to get in on it. So don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com. Again, first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. FanDuel.com. Claim your $250 in bonus bets today. You mentioned earlier some guys coming back down from being up with Buffalo, one of which, Jiri Kulich. I wonder how that could be different for certain players. A couple years ago, Rochester's in the playoffs, and you'll have some players from juniors, high draft picks that'll come in the middle of a playoff run that haven't played with those guys before. Does it help Kulich at all that even though he didn't play much with these guys all year long, that he did play a lot with them before this season?
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point. I think Jiri coming down, he was here for 2 years, had a huge impact on the team. I only got to coach him for 4 games, but you see how close he is with the guys. I think he's really happy to be here. Just speaks to what type of kid he is, and I think it's actually really good for his development, and to play more games in the middle, and kind of be the guy in pressure situations to come through. And I think that's good for a player, and he did that last game. But he's done a great job integrating himself back with the group, and really happy he's here.
Couple of individuals I wanted to get you on other than Kulich. Devon Levi through 2 games is coming off a shutout. Someone Sabre fans are obviously super excited about. His series so far, I mean, it was only the 2 goals at the beginning, and even those I think were defendable on his part. So how impressed have you been with Devon Levi, not just in this playoffs, but all season long?
Yeah, Dev, I think all the work that he's put in at the beginning of the year, I think that areas of his game he needed to improve on, I think were areas that now we're seeing in the playoffs. His rebound control, he did a great job getting whistles when you kind of have those shifts where you get extended time in zone, and to get a whistle to get new guys on the ice. They're a, they're a heavy shot volume team from the point. It's low to high. They get 2 to 3 guys at the net, so it's putting pucks in the corners to where you can't get those second and third opportunities. I think there's areas of his game, even when he was up in Buffalo this year and with us, where I think part of his development is working on those things, and he was lights out for us, and he's making saves. There's always, if you want to win in the playoffs and you want to win series and go deep, your goalie's going to have to make saves. Sometimes he's, that are kind of the ones that maybe go in that you need to save, and he's done a great job of that. And we're really happy he's here, and he's going to be a huge part of our success if we want to keep playing.
Noah Ostlund, also a player that's really thrived, especially in the second half of the season into the playoffs here. For him, do you think any part of his jump, at least statistically, from the first half to the second half had anything to do with just getting used to the North American game? I know he obviously played mostly in Sweden before this season.
Yeah, I think so. I think the game's quicker over here. There's plays, in Europe, there's a lot more, I guess, set breakouts, and everything here is like fast and north. But Noah was playing really good at the start of the year. I think people that didn't watch him play probably look at the stat line and were kind of scratching their head. But all the scoring chances were there. He's providing offense. It just wasn't going in the net. Then he went down with a really, really tough injury, and I give the player a lot of credit in his work ethic and determination to come back, and the mental toughness he had to have. And I don't think he gets enough credit for how good he is away from the puck. And I used him against Shiri's line last game, and he did a great job. And he's just a winning hockey player. He does a lot of things in the game. He makes players around him better, and he's had a great season for us. He hasn't been on the score sheet in the first 2 games, but he's done a lot of really good things from us from a penalty kill perspective. On the power play, he makes a lot of plays. Set up Rosie last game, should have been a goal. But yeah, he's been a huge part of our team's success, and we'll need him to continue to play well.
Yeah, so we spent a lot of time on guys at the top of the lineup here. Again, mostly, players that Sabre fans are often thinking about. Haven't even mentioned Roseanne, you just did, and he's obviously had a season. I look at odds sometimes for awards. I don't think there are AHL MVP odds, but I feel like if there were, he would at least be, somewhere on that list. What about some guys that maybe Sabre fans wouldn't often be thinking about if they're not watching all of your games through the regular season? Some of these veterans, maybe lower level draft picks that you think are very critical and important to this playoff run.
Yeah, there are some guys that aren't even on NHL contract. The one that is playing really good hockey for us, and when Buffalo had those injuries at the end of the year, Anton Wahlberg was playing center for us as a 19-year-old kid to come into AHL. And it's different. Game 5, Game 10, came in 65, played center for us for a month, did a great job. And then I think if you look at our group, the Josh Dunn, Fiedler, Schultz, Slag, Swarn, I don't know if there's another line that has 40 goals from guys that are bottom of the lineup, and that's why we have a lot of success. They were both plus 15, plus 16, get really tough matchups, and I think that's part of the reason why that probably goes unnoticed sometimes, but we play 4 lines. We don't worry about matchups and getting certain guys, and we just play 4 lines, and we trust them in all situations. And I think the guys at the bottom of the lineup know that the coaching staff trusts them, and we believe in them. And you look at the first game, Brennan Warren and Fiedler Schultz had our first 2 goals. Guys that aren't drafted, they're on American League contracts, but are a huge part of our team, and have been a huge part of our team all year, and we're probably not where we're at without those guys.
Yeah. Before I let you go, one thing I wanted to go back to from the series that I meant to get to, Komarov, how he's doing, and also when he gets dropped there, how a team can respond to that, how you felt your team, I should say, responded to that in a game.
Comey's a great kid. It's unfortunate. He was actually playing some of his best hockey. Like he was playing about as good as anyone we have on the back end. You never wanted to see it happen. Anytime you drop the gloves, there's a possibility of that happening. He got caught on a shot. He's doing a lot better. He's in really good spirits, a lot better than I thought he would be. He's in protocol right now, but I think things are looking in the right directions. And I thought our team did a great job responding to the event that happened in the game. There's always outcomes that happen in the game. It's how you respond, and I thought our guys responded in a really positive way, which I didn't expect anything else. They've done it all year, and it was great. I think there was a little motivation going to third period to not only win for the team, but do it for that kid too, because it's a really tough situation. A really young kid fighting a really tough kid that's been in the league, that's played pro hockey. So really proud of the group and how we responded.
All right. Coach Leo on the Locked On Sabres podcast here, between games here. Thursday night, game 3 in Syracuse, looking for the sweep. What type of guy are you? Are you like obsessed watching film during the week, or do you need to get on the golf course? What are you doing?
No, a little bit with the video, but I'm more, I don't like to overwhelm the guys. So when they get on the ice, I don't want to, handcuff them, because it's easy to look back and watch a play over 300 times when it's in slow-mo, but the guys got to read and react on the ice. It's more about just playing our game and watch a lot of hockey, sports. I'm actually a big basketball fan.
Last night was crazy.
Yeah, crazy.
Holy cow.
Crazy. I'm from Detroit, so it was a big win for the Pistons.
Ooh, so, I probably shouldn't get you started then on the game before that. Then at the end, at the end of the game.
Yeah, the flop, the foul, and there's a lot of calls on Brunson that he gets a lot of calls.
Do you like, kind of a follow up? Maybe this even ties into you as a coach. They don't do this in hockey. In the NBA, when they release that report like 30 minutes after the game that, we screwed up, we should have called that. Do you think teams like that? The admission of we messed up, sorry?
I do think there should be a level of accountability for the refs. I do, and some, I don't know how you would police it, but I do think a lot of times they have a really tough job to do. They're going to mess up calls, but I also think it's a reflection of where they could have been better, and I think it is.
Yeah.
It is a good way. I think they're in the NHL, you can kind of see it in playoffs. There's a lot of, like the Ekblad play from the other night. Like that's a really big play in the game that doesn't get called. Probably should have been a 5 and doesn't get called, and then he gets suspended. So I think there's a way of, if there was a level of accountability that could happen, I think it would be good.
Definitely. Coach Michael Leone, the Amerks looking for the sweep tomorrow night. Good luck, and thanks for coming on.
Thanks, man.
Be back on the Locked On Sabres podcast in one moment, but want to remind you that today's episode is presented by the JP Morgan Corporate Challenge here in Buffalo. This year's event is Thursday, June 12th, and for Buffalo businesses, it is time to register for the JP Morgan Corporate Challenge. Features a 3.5-mile course through Delaware Park, followed by a celebration that will feature a DJ, lawn games, a tented experience for you and your teammates. It's going to be a great time. Walkers, joggers, runners are all welcome. So whether you run for the love of it, for your company, or to build lasting bonds, this is your moment. Teams of 4 participants or more can register today. Registration closes on Tuesday, May 13th. 1 part run, 1 part party. The Corporate Challenge earns its reputation as Buffalo's corporate social event of the year. So join us for some great competition, teamwork, company pride, and a true sense of accomplishment. Go to jpmorganchasecc.com. Choose Buffalo as your location to start your registration today. We'll see you on the course. Back here, wrapping things up here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. The NHL playoffs continue. Thanks to Mike Leone for joining us on today's show. Leo, as he likes to go by, Coach Leo. My quick thoughts on the Amerks and Coach Leone and all that's going on right now is I think they are going to beat Syracuse tomorrow. I love this team. This team, I've seen Amerks teams in the past where, the kids are just a little young to do it, or the veterans are just a little bit not there. I mean, you look at this Amerks team right now, there is an NHL defenseman, Eric Brandstrom, who can't even crack the lineup right now because if I have that situation right, there's been rumors about him. Maybe he's going back to Europe. I haven't seen anything about an injury. It's kind of been weird that he's been out of the lineup. It could just be fit. It could be chemistry. He's not even in the lineup right now. He might go in because of Komarov, 5 goals in 13 games. And our team is deep enough where we can afford to not have that guy in the lineup and still win these 2 games. Some of the veterans at the bottom end of the roster are more impressive to me than what you've seen in some past Amerks teams. So I think they're going to beat Syracuse. And most of this is Levi for me. Levi is capable of taking this team all the way. And you got to get a hot goalie in the playoffs. And I think the Amerks absolutely have that. So good luck to them tomorrow in Syracuse. Drivable, More so for Amerks fans in Rochester, but if a Sabre fan, you want to go to a game, or you could just wait for them to return home, which probably will be in the next round, but we'll see. Maybe we get a game 5 back in Rochester, which would be next Friday. So I wanted to touch on what we saw in the Stanley Cup playoffs, though, last night before we run out of time here. And not to take my victory lap because it's only round 1, but the team that I picked to win the Stanley Cup, they advanced first. Right? Nobody, I think, got through before the Carolina Hurricanes did. They win that in 5 games over the Devils. And a 3-goal comeback to win it in double overtime. The Hurricanes are just a wagon. If you watch them, they are how I want the Sabres to play someday. They are so buttoned up in their blue line. They are so poised on that blue line. And they have a lot of veterans, so that would make sense. It's just you can't get the puck from them. It is unlike almost any other team in the league. They just exhaust you by making you chase. I mean, I've played either beer league or roller hockey over the years personally on some bad teams, for the nights we would play on, and we'd be, you look at the standings, we'd be like 7th out of 10th. And when you play those top teams, I know, much lower level, terrible comparison, but you're so much more exhausted when you just never have it. You never have the puck, and you spend the whole day chasing these guys around. It's never ending, and that's how I felt about the Hurricanes when they played the Devils. Now, I don't think New Jersey was that much of a challenge, and we'll see what that looks like in the next round. If they get Washington, I think it could look the same. The winner of the Atlantic Division, I think it could look different. I think it could look a lot more even, and maybe they don't get through. So I think they're going to get to the conference finals. I think they're going to win the cup, but I wouldn't be stunned if they had lost in the conference finals to either Toronto or whoever. But Toronto, here are the Leafs. Here they are every single year. Toronto, they just got to make you think that they're going to blow it. And most times they do. Last year, the first time they got through that first round and they didn't win a game in the second round. Here they are against Ottawa, and they are clearly the better team. And there's just a little bit of nervous tension that always seems to exist in Toronto that prevents them from making it easy. And that's what's happening. They outshot the Senators. They outpossessed the Senators. They had more attempts. They were great, but they just couldn't get a goal to go in. And Ullmark was awesome, and you might not get that from him for the next 2 games. He's a little more rocky in the playoffs than he is in the regular season, and him having 2 more perfect games, I would not probably bet on that, which is why at the moment, I would probably bet Toronto to still make it. I would definitely still bet Toronto to make it through this series, but I wouldn't be totally confident in that. This is why, though, if you're the Leafs, you bring in Craig Berube, right? Veteran, coach, been there, done it in the league, won a Stanley Cup. Why that guy is there is to settle everybody down. Take a breath. Take a breath. We're up in this series. Ottawa, I'm not saying road games are easy, but it's Ottawa. The building is 3 hours outside the city, basically. We can go win there. We're fine. We're better than this team. That's Berube to me between yesterday and tomorrow when they play Game 6, because if they don't win game 6, that nervous tension will build and build and build into game 7. And I will admit, if the Leafs blew it, and if they blew a 3-0 series lead, it would be the funniest thing possible about these playoffs. I'm not even the biggest Leafs hater, but it is definitely hilarious if they do it again, right? And actually, maybe this is why you should be rooting for it. I'll make a connection to the Sabres here. We are the Locked On Sabres podcast. I think I said this before the playoffs. If you want to even get a shot at signing Mitch Marner in the offseason and you want him to leave Toronto, the best way you could get that would be an epic collapse in round 1, because people would be pissed in Toronto. Marner might be pissed, and that's how you get a divorce. You probably need this to blow up. And maybe we're 2 games away from that. Maybe Ottawa wins game 6 and they ride that momentum into winning game 7, and then Marner leaves. So that maybe is something to root for, a reason to root for Ottawa. Good for Dylan Cousins, by the way. I have no ill will towards Dylan Cousins. I know last night I saw a lot on Sabres Twitter about, Evander Kane scored and Eichel had like one of the plays of the night. And there's Cousins scoring a big, important 2-0 shorthanded goal in the 3rd period. Not all those guys are created equal for fans. I have no problem with Dylan Cousins at all. I know you want to win the trade, but Cousins was well-liked here. He tried his best. He was completely lost for the last 2 years, but, he definitely tried. So him scoring that goal, I'm cool with it. Not mad about it, and it would be weird to me if a Sabre fan really was. And the other thing is, it's not like he's even been that good in this series. It was only a 2nd point of the series. So the playoffs roll along, and we'll see if Toronto will blow it against Ottawa. That'll do it for us today here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. Tomorrow, we will reignite our exit interview series. We will talk about Tage Thompson's position change that we saw this past year, where the right fit is for him going forward. And we'll talk more about the playoffs and some other Sabre stuff, of course. So you want to comment or a question in on the show as well, head up our text club. If you're not already a subscriber, join subtext.com/LockedOnSabres. Again, our thanks to Coach Leo for hitting us up today on the Locked On Sabres podcast. Amerks and Crunch tomorrow. We'll see if they get the sweep. We'll talk to you then here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. If you will want more on the NHL playoffs, be sure to check out Locked On NHL Game Night. Every night until Stanley Cup champion is crowned, get local analysis on a national stage. Find NHL Game Night on Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. We'll talk to you tomorrow here on Locked On Sabres.